you'll see a little red dot up at the top left-hand corner. Okay, so right. Well, let's go back to basics a little bit. So when you log into the system first, you log into the dashboards. That's the system default. Okay. So this is what we're in at the moment. And here in this field here, you will see the name. And if I click into that field, there's the list of all of the dashboard pages that you have access to. So the dashboards, a little bit like on your smartphone or your iPad device or anything like that. You have dashboards, and it's a way of displaying information. And they've robbed the term from the dashboard of your car. That's literally where the word dashboard comes from. And it's just a way of producing information to you very quickly and very easily. All right. So they're your different dashboard pages. All right. The two I suspect you'll be most interested in are Risk Management 1 and Risk Management 2. And it's in Risk Management Type 1 at the moment. Okay, so this is it here. And each of these graphs is called a dashboard part. Okay, so you have 6 dashboard pages, and each of those dashboard pages contains between 4 and 6 dashboard parts. So this graph here is a dashboard part. Okay. And if I maximize that, all right, so I'm just going to expand that. You're in NIMS at the moment, you are?
Yeah, I'm doing it in my own system at the same time.
Well, the joy of us recording this is that you'll be able to. I nearly. Well, I mean, it's up to yourself. I'd nearly kind of watch what I'm doing. Probably not. You can do it there as well if you want it. But I am recording it, and I'll send this on to you. It may be tomorrow before I'm able to send it on, because what I'll do is I'll get our comms team to save it as a YouTube link for you, so that it's otherwise it would just be a very large file. But it also means that you can send it to your home address if you want to. You can send the link anywhere. Okay, this is just going to. Okay, so when I've expanded that, I expanded it by clicking on that little icon there. You see it, and again, if you hold your cursor over any of the icons, Laura, it'll tell you exactly what it does. Okay, so that's a menu of different things that you can do in this dashboard part, and that's just the expanding it. Now, when I expand it, you'll see that this is a donut. The pie charts were flavor of the month there a couple of years ago. Now it's the donuts. I don't know why. There you go. And you can see here that the name of the dashboard part is up on the top left-hand corner. So this is displaying information by the did this incident relate to. So that very first question that you answer when you're inputting an incident, the person, property, crash, collision, dangerous occurrence, that's what this is displaying by. Okay, so at the moment there's only 3 pieces of the donut: property, dangerous occurrence, and as you would suspect, the person is always going to be the biggest one. So that's what this graph is displaying. But you may say to yourself, what data is feeding the graph? Okay, and the data, so you have the name of the graph, you have the graph itself, but the data that's feeding it, so giving us these different colors, is shown down in the bottom left-hand corner, okay? So you see there it says 1A overall, all incidents occurred previous year as of today's date. That's the data set, or the report, if you like, that's feeding into this. Now, there are terms within NIMS called views and stuff like that that are used. And all a view is a report. Okay. And what we've done in the State Claims Agency is we've created a suite of about 200 reports. And that's probably what I started to show you at the end of our last meeting. So that there is one of the views that we've created for you. Okay. And that view is plugged into, that's another term, plugged into. That just means this graph is pointing towards that view. And that view is sitting in Incident Manager. Okay. So you default, when you log into NIMS, it defaults to open in dashboards. But where all the power really is is in Incident Manager.
Okay.
Okay, so I showed you probably your incident app launcher the last time, did I?
You did?
Yeah, okay. So you're going to go up to your app launcher and go across to Incident Manager. Okay. And in Incident Manager, and I don't know if I showed you this the last time, you have this, this aspect of it looks a little bit similar to your dashboard. So you have this field here, and if you click into it, you have all this list, and these are all your views. Okay.
Okay.
So these are all your reports. So there's that one there, all incidents created year to date, or what, which one was it now? I'll go back
That
and
was
have a,
previous year.
yeah, it was previous year. There you go. Okay. So I'll go back to my incident. So all incidents created previous year. All right. Select that. Let it refresh. Okay. Now, and I know why it's doing that because I have, you see, okay. Ignore that. Pretend you didn't see that, Laura,
Okay.
because I don't want to start complicating things here. And I'll just refresh that and do it again. So I'll refresh this page using the web refresh, and it'll bring me back to dashboards.
Okay.
So I'm now going to go back into my incident manager again and go back down to that report. So report is a view, okay? And you really just need to think of what's a report from NIMS. A report from NIMS is just the answer to a question. So you'll find that people, well, this has been our experience down through the years of people using the system, is that the people who tend to want the data, who are looking for reports, don't use the system. So they don't know how to get it back out. They don't know what it captures. So you're in a very powerful position that you know what it captures. Okay, or you're
Yep.
getting to know what it captures and how it works. So never be afraid, and I say this to all of the people that I train, never be afraid to say to somebody who's come to you looking for a report, I'm not 100% sure what you mean. This is what I think you mean. This is what I think, or this is what I think you're looking for. Is that correct? Because invariably they'll come to you and use terminology that NIMS doesn't use.
Right.
Okay. And instead of everybody being confused by you producing a report that isn't what they're looking for, just make sure. All right. And it regularly happens on training sessions. I'll say to people, okay, come on, challenge me, tell me, give me a report that you want me to run. And invariably they'll use, like, somebody said to me at a training session years ago in our old building, oh, I want to run a report on KPIs. So I'm kind of like, after a little bit, I'm kind of like, well, KPI, NIMS doesn't capture KPIs. Oh, yes, we run a report on KPIs. So after a bit of digging, what she was really looking for was slips, trips, and falls.
Okay.
But it was one of her KPIs. So that's why she was calling it that. But and that's what so the whole room there was kind of like a when that came down to it. So never be afraid to say to question the questioner is kind of what I'm saying, because you know more about the system than they do.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go back up to that one that I was looking at. So all incidents created previous year. You'll see now my system is going to refresh, and there we have 537 incidents.
Yep.
Okay, you see them, that's the total down in the bottom left-hand corner, and they're spread over 6 pages, and each page contains 100. So that's why you have 0 to 100 selected there. Okay, from here you can export to Excel if you wish.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing at the moment, actually. Like
Okay.
for we've got a falls committee, so I've been exporting to Excel and then having to manually go through and put it by word and by incident and all the rest so that they can be reviewed at a falls committee meeting.
At Falls Committee meeting.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah.
Did you not know that this was down here? So let's click back into this. Did you not know this?
That it's actually the slips, trips, and falls.
Falls report.
The
Okay.
report and then exporting it to Excel. But they have what we have is every there's a CNM from every clinical area comes and they discuss their own falls so that there can be kind of learning for everyone out of them. So I'm trying to, once I go into the report slips, trips and falls, I don't know how to create a pivot table. I'm going to have to learn.
Okay, and,
So
I don't know how to create
yeah,
pivot tables either. Let's go back to dashboards then and go down to the incident locations dashboard here and see if this might help you. So there's CNMs from different areas. So
yeah,
yeah, okay, so that they potentially would be by location level F, is it? All right, let's just take a step back. And I'll go up to, because you did mention this as well, your locations. I'll go into my app launcher and I'll go down to location management. The best way to look at your locations, Laura, is in tree view, okay? Because it makes a bit more sense here. And this is called tree view, or it's basically it's a parent-child system, okay? So any location that has an arrowhead in front of it, if you click on that, it'll show you the different locations underneath. So Marymount is under community, voluntary community, and then Cork. So Cork tends to be location level D, and the hospital is location level E. So you've got A, B, C, D, and E. And Marymount again has an arrowhead in front of it. And if we click that, then we have all of our. So when you say your CNMs, are you talking about them being from wards?
yeah.
Okay. So wards are A, B, C, D, E, F. And the in dashboards, the locations only go down as far as F.
Okay,
Okay. So you're going to have to create your own report to capture each location if that's the way you want to do it.
okay.
What has been how has it what you've created for them so far been received by them?
Oh, like they're delighted with it. It's just because of the fact that like it's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet with boards per page, and then it's just a lot of kind of copying and pasting. And for some reason, the Excel sheets, when I export the report, it only gives the description of the incident. It doesn't actually give the actions taken immediately afterwards.
Yeah,
And that does.
but yeah, that's kind of the norm because
Okay.
they would those columns wouldn't be included typically because they're not the typical columns that we would include.
Yeah.
But this is where you can create your own reports, Laura. So maybe we'll do that first. If that's something that you're actually doing at the moment for your CNMs, and because once you will have to create one for each ward,
Okay.
okay? But once it's done, and you never have to do it again.
It's
All right?
great. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I see St. Catherine's Ward here has locations after it. That's okay, but we'll just do it individually. Now, this is where you will use your location management. You'll come in. You're only going to see St. Patrick's and Marymount Hospice. Okay, that's all you have access to.
Okay.
So what you want to do is come down to wards, open it up, and then for each of these locations, click on it, and you'll see that when you click on it, the open button up here becomes active. Okay,
Okay.
and you'll need to do this again just the once, open it, and then you need to take note of your location code and what level we're at. Okay, so we're at location level 7. That's like location level A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay,
Okay.
they gave them letters in one place and numbers in others. I don't know why, but it's the 7 that we're going to be looking at. So it's SP for St. Patrick's, MH for Marymount, and then 0301. Okay, so I can pretty much tell that the other wards will be 02, 03, 04, or 05. All right, but we'll confirm that when we go along. So
Okay.
having gotten that information, we're just going to close out of this and we're now going to go back to Incident Manager. And in here, Laura, you have the ability, you have all of those views that are there, all right?
Hmm.
And those views we feel between them and the dashboards, because as I said, you can point any of those reports to any of the graphs. So if I go back up to my, did this incident relate to here? At the moment, it's pointing towards all incidents occurred the previous year. All right. But let's say, for example, you wanted to find out of all your extreme incidents that happened last year, how many of them related to person, how many of them related to property, etc. Okay. So you'd be looking at this graph because that's what that graph points to. But at the moment, it's displaying information by all incidents occurred, whereas you wanted to display all extreme incidents. So you just need to change what data set or what view is pointing towards or plugged into this graph. Okay. And you do that by going up to your drop down and going down to personalize view. So think of it as the third option, but also think of it from the point of view you personally are going to point a view towards this graph.
Okay.
So I go up to personalize view, and when I open that, there's that full list that you had in Incident Manager. All right. You're now just going to scroll down and find all of your extreme incidents which occurred in the previous year. And I pretty much probably know what the answer would be here. Click on save. Your graph will change, and you had one, and it was a person incident. And you can now open that by clicking on the piece of pie, and there's the one.
Okay.
Okay. And if you want to, you can export that to Excel.
Okay.
Probably wasn't a great example, but you can do that for any of those graphs. Okay.
That's brilliant.
Any of those graphs can be pointed towards any of those views. All right. And you can't break this, Laura.
Okay.
All right. You can't break it.
It won't do anything to the data. Actually, that's the one thing I've learned, because at the start I was just putting in St. Patrick's and not necessarily putting in the exact ward in the drop down list. So I've learned very quickly how beneficial it is to have that in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's really beneficial because that's where you'll be able to get your trends.
Yeah.
And also, if you're just choosing Marymount, you won't be able to give the C&Ms their individual reports because they've all been logged at the top level rather than going down to the wards. It's you're able to identify trends very, very quickly. Like if you know, like what's the sort of simple things that have been identified over the years are a plug not working. Because, oh, why was there so much, and I can't think of an example off the top of my head, happening in that particular ward? Oh, it's because that plug that particular plug is faulty and only works some of the time. But you can do that for all of, so like, there's your incidence by time of day. Okay, let's maximize that. If you wanted to know typically what time of the day your slips, trips, and falls were happening at, there's your graph. Because remember, all of the incidents that you're logging have had a time associated to them because it's a mandatory question. Although one thing that they can pick from the list is unknown, which is why you've got a couple there of unknowns. But very few people, because it's a question that's answered on the NERF, then they need, they kind of have to answer it. But if you wanted to get time frames on your slips, trips, and falls, you can do so. Again, just personalize it. You find the graph that best displays your information. Okay. And we go down, there's our slips, trips, and falls. We click on save. Actually, it's pointing towards slips, trips, and falls already. It's going to refresh, and there's your graph. But also what you can do, the same way that you were able to click on the pieces of pie, if I want to have a look at exactly at the 14 that happened between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., you just click on the top and it'll isolate those for you, put them in a table, and then you can export it to Excel. So there's almost reports within reports, if you like. So if you want to think of each part of the line chart or each part of the bar chart or the pie chart as a separate report, you can do so. And when you get familiar with that, you'll see it that way, that rather than going off and creating a specific report, which you might find that you enjoy doing, you can use the ability to click on the parts of the charts as you like. But let's go back to Incident Manager now and create our own report. So the one thing that you must do, Laura, and you'll find out fairly quickly that this is a bit of a pain in the bottom, is you need to be in your report that captures everything. So when you come into Incident Manager, it defaults to open the very first view that's at the top of the list, okay? Which is something that captures all incident happened in the last 7 days. And if you start to run a report for incidents maybe from 2018 in a report that's only capturing incidents from this last 7 days, it's obviously going to bring you back a blank. Okay. So what you need to do is make sure that scroll down here. So as well as all of these reports, you have a report or a view called 7A All Records. And if I select it, it basically will bring you back all of the data that you have access to. And it's within this report that you need to run your query capturing for all the different wards. Okay, so here we can see that I've got access to 6,566. You can see there the vast majority of them are name of injured parties, so they've been anonymized other than this test one, which I just put in before we came on the call because I was just checking something here. And I can actually see that most of them were created at the start of the year or the end of last year. So that kind of correlates with the last time the training environment was updated. Okay, so I'm sure you probably have a good few more on your system than you do. Now, my recommendation here as well is to add this to your favorites, all right, to save you having to scroll down through that list because since we moved to MS Edge, it always defaults to open at the top one rather than the last one you're in, which is very annoying. But you can add this to your favorites, and you do so by clicking on the star. You see the star there?
Mm-hmm.
If you click add favorites, you'll get a message saying that it's been added to your favorites, and there's your favorites there. All right. So if I click in there, there's my 7A. So it just saves you it just saves you a scroll. All right, basically. Now the next thing that we want to do is create our query. Okay, so we're basically creating a report that captures all slips, trips, and falls for that particular ward. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to go up to, first of all, my filters. So you basically click this, and you can see there that it's brought up 4 additional search fields.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are your filters. These are what allow you personally, to carry out your own searches within NIMS rather than just using those views up there. Now, you may find the very first time that you do this, that when you click on the filters, what it does is it brings you up that.
Okay.
Okay, that's a floating window. It's a matter of preference. I don't particularly like it because I can't interact with the stuff behind it. So what I always do is I pin it to my master page, if you like. And you see that little icon there, the little
Mm-hmm.
pin, toggle pin status, and it puts it there, and I can go into any of these then if I want to. But what we're going to do is we're going to start at the moment, you can run a search by your record number
Mm-hmm.
or a subhazard type or a please specify or a please specify subhazard. They're just the fields that I put in as I was testing something before I came on this call for you. We want to add other fields, okay? So the first one that we want to add in addition to these other ones, actually, I'm going to get rid of these and we start from scratch, okay?
Okay.
So you do that. What's the international symbol for your settings or your options or anything like that? It's a little cog icon. All right. So there's your manage views. If you click into that, the second option down is set search defaults. I know they're not the most intuitive of names that they've given them, but this allows you to set what search fields you want to be the defaults. Okay. So I'm going to select that. Let the page refresh. And I'm going to get rid of these, all right? And I'm just going to do that by oh, I need to start from the last one first. These are these little idiosyncrasies that the system has.
It's a phenomenal system, though.
It is a phenomenal system, and thank you for saying that. There's so many people give out about it. I keep having to tell myself that I haven't given birth to it, but I am rather defensive of it because I know what a cool system it is. If people are just patient with it and listen to what people are telling them that it can do. Okay, so what I've done there now, Laura, is I've basically removed the search fields that are there. I
Hmm.
can't remove record number, it's a default.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do now is the very first thing is I'm going to put in um, my incident hazard category. Okay, so the incident hazard category is where you click whether it's a exposure to behavioral hazard, exposure to physical hazard, or anything like that. I'm going to put that in. That'll be a typical one that you'll start to use. So you start to type in incident and then it'll bring up all these lists and there's my incident hazard category. So that will allow me to pick all of my physical hazard. I'm also going to put in sub-hazard type. So here's my sub-hazard type. And that would allow me to select my slips, trips and falls. And you'll see it when you come back out. Then we want to choose now these are just suggestions, okay?
Hmm.
It's entirely up to yourself. You'll see when you click in there all of the options that you have to choose from, okay? I'm going to send you a document after this as well, Laura, called that is our pick list. It
Okay.
basically is a document that lists the contents of all of our pick lists, and you'll find that that'll be really helpful for you when you come to creating your own reports, because you may not always remember the name of the field that you populated, for example, with slip, trip, or fall. So
Okay.
in this document I'll send you, what you could do is search for slip, trip, or fall and it would bring you back sub-hazard type. I'll show it to you in a minute. When we're finished here, I'll show you what it looks like because it might confuse you a little bit otherwise. I know there's a lot going on here now.
It's no, it's great, and I'm
I'm,
so glad you're recording it.
mm, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of doing it the last time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is going to put in a date. So do you typically run your reports by the incident create date or the date that the incident happened?
The date the incident happened.
Okay, so that's incident. No, it's not. That's the incident create their date of occurrence. So it's date of occurrence. So there we have, or date of incident it is, sorry. Okay, date of incident. You may want to put your incident create date there as well, but let's just leave it at that for the moment. And then we're going to put in our location. Okay, so remember we counted that it was at location level 7. So I've typed in location there and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose location at level 7. And that's important. Don't choose any of the others. This is
Okay.
your best bet here, location at level. So once you find what level it's at, and you could do this for any of the other levels there, but there's really no point in going any further down to, I don't think it can go down to
I
8
don't
or
think I
9.
can. No,
Yeah,
the most specific I can do is kind of departments, not rooms or
yeah.
anything like that.
Okay, so we'll choose at location at level 7. And let's just leave it at that for the moment. You can always, if you want, come back and add more. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, we're going to leave it at that. And we click on save. And now we have the ability. Okay, I have to refresh. This is another feckin' thing since we moved to MS Edge. I don't know why they moved away from Chrome. The world is going towards Microsoft. But what we have to do now, you see, it's not representing what I've just done. So I have to hit refresh. And when I hit refresh, it goes back to dashboards. So I then have to go back up and choose Incident Manager again. It's just more mice clicks.
Okay.
Okay. And now we can see we have incident hazard category. Okay, so all we're going to do, and you see the way as well it's defaulted back to 1A overall, all incidents past 7 days. This will drive you mad, Laura, because you will do this a couple of times before you realize that what you need to do each time is go up. Now, for some reason, it hasn't saved my favorites. It normally would. Maybe it's because I hadn't come out of it. I'm going to go down. Anyway, I'm sort of talking to myself. 7A all records. I'll add that to my favorites. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to choose slip, trip, and fall from our subhazard type. If you're choosing slips, trips, and falls from your subhazard type, you don't need to choose physical. All right.
Okay.
This is, I emphasize to people a lot. Less is more with this page. Okay. If you start to, and this goes back a long way, people see fields and they feel they have to populate them. You don't, okay? If I've chosen slips, trips, and falls, the system knows that I'm choosing slips, trips, and falls from incident
Physical.
hazard type physical, because there aren't slips, trips, and falls under clinical or behavioral or anything else, okay? So I click into my pick list, and it'll actually give me the pick list for all of them, but I just hit S and it'll bring me down to all of my options beginning with S. And I choose slips, trips, and falls, and it gives me the option to choose more if I want to. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? And then I'm going to come down to my at location level, and I'm going to put it in. You see the way it has the description there? But the code, Laura, is the most accurate thing about your location.
Okay.
All right. It's probably not as important for you because you're in a contained, small enough sort of location. But for some of our bigger hospitals and certainly some of our bigger counties who might have a couple of hospitals in them, and they might have more than one emergency department or A&E, and actually they may have one hospital that calls it A&E, another calls it accident and emergency, and another calls it ED, whereas their code is the most unique thing about each location. All right. So just click on your code heading, and you see the way it puts it in the code as your primary selection. So I'm going to start to type SPMH0301. All right. And as I suspected, if I take out the O1 there, you see the way all the other words are O2
Yes.
or 3 or 4. I just know that because of because I know the system so well. But it's actually it's completely logical. All right. So there we choose St. Anne's Ward and we leave it at that. And let's not do anything else. We're not going to put in a time frame or anything like that. So what this is basically going to do is search all of the records that your logon has access to and look for slips, trips, and falls that happened in St. Anne's Ward. Okay.
Okay.
Click apply. I hope this brings me back something. Would it actually be 584?
Potentially.
Yeah,
It's since
okay.
2015, is it?
2015. If I go back to the last page, yeah, it's actually since 2011. Now, you know that about the record numbers, do you? That the first two digits represent the year they were saved on the system.
Yes.
Did I tell you that the last time?
You
Okay.
did.
All right. Okay, so what we can do now, that's the result of your search. Okay? That's the equivalent to you going into Google and running and looking for something, and this is what Google brings you back. What the system can now do is save this as a view.
Okay.
Okay, and you do that by going up to your little cog icon again, going to manage views, clicking your downward pointed arrow, and go down to create from search. So basically you're saying to the system, I want you to create a new view from this search. All right, so that's what we'll do. It'll allow you to give it a name. So this will just take a moment. So what you can do is what was it, St. Anne's?
Yeah.
St. Anne's strips falls. Okay, so I'm about to name it. You can see it's a private, It's the owner was Anne Carmichael. That's the logon that I changed to be trainer, but that was the previous user.
Okay.
Um, the data you've already done because you don't have to change anything in there because we're just creating this view from a search. So the search is already the data captured in it. You don't need to change anything. But the lovely thing here is it allows you to put in your own columns. Okay,
Okay.
so where it might have defaulted to certain columns beforehand, you can now choose what columns you want. So if I go to select columns, it'll have certain things in it like system. You don't need the system. You don't really need the where hierarchy. The where hierarchy actually gives the exact location. So if whoever logged it chose a location further under St. Anne's and there weren't any, it would show up. So I don't know whether you might want to include that. You don't need parent location really because the parent location
It's
here
here.
is there exactly. You want the date of the incident, who was involved, the incident hazard category, the sub hazard type, and the type of the injury. But you can also add, if you want to, you might want to add the brief summary.
Okay.
Okay, so your free text field. You can add that. And what was that other field that you mentioned?
The immediate actions.
Okay, so if I start to type immediate actions in here, there we go. There's our immediate actions. Okay, so you can include that there. You can include any of them if you want, but just keep in mind your A4 landscape sheet. Okay,
Hmm.
and you can put those in any order that you want. Let's just leave them there for the moment. Okay, so there's your brief summary and your immediate actions taken. You have the who was involved. You can put in the name of the injured party is there as well, and actually what isn't there is the record number is there. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. We're going to save and close that. The record has been saved, and there now you see the name that's in your list.
Hmm.
All St. Anne's slips, trips, and falls. I can add it to my favorites there if I want it. So it not only has my all records, it has St. Anne's. And if I scroll across here, there's all of your information that you wanted to. Now you can move these across if you want them to be in a different order. Now you can see the brief summary there has it's all been anonymized. And these ones they're going back to 2006, 2007, where the immediate actions taken wasn't a field to be populated. It was only added recently. That's why it's empty. Whereas if I go and put this into reverse record number order, and scroll across,
There.
there you go. You start to see the immediate actions taken there. Okay. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does. It's
And
amazing.
and what you can do now is you don't have to go through all of that again. Okay. All you have to do here now is go up to your list, go down to copy view, and just change the name of it. What's one of the other ward names?
John's.
Call this John's. Go to select data, and all you're going to do here now is change the name of your ward to St. John's.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll change the order number and I'll start to type in SPMH03. And there's St. John's. And I can remove the O1, okay, because the O1 is still capturing,
St. John's.
it will be running it on St. Anne's and St. John's, okay? So you just get rid of, you see up at can you see what I'm doing there?
Hmm.
O3, and this is just on St. John's then, okay? Save and close that. Actually, I need to change the name because you see the way it literally copies everything about the report, even the copy of St. Anne. So instead, I didn't get rid of the copy of. So I can go back in here into my drop down, edit view, and then just take out okay. It's not letting me. And that just made up. Have I said, did I save it properly? Did I let it run? Anyway, you can do that, all right? So at the moment it's there, and you see that it gives a slightly different result. So it's 537. There seems to be a lot of slips, trips, and falls happening in Marymount, are there?
Do you know what now? I think it's our cohort. It's just
I
between
sup-
palliative and
that's
service
true,
road
I
people.
suppose. Yeah, that's very true.
And we're very good for reporting the near misses. So I think that drives everything.
Okay. Do you want to exclude near misses?
No, do you know what? I think there's good learning from them.
Okay, yeah, because you can. You know,
Okay.
the same way that you can run a report on fields that have something in them, you can also exclude. So if I go back to say edit this view, now again, just as well, I'm recording this because this is where it starts to get not complicated, but you can kind of go, oh, my brain hurts. If you go down to select data, you see the way it says subhazard is.
Yeah.
You can change that to is not.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what it would do then is capture all of the other subtypes except slips, trips, and falls. All right, but
Mhm.
we leave that as is. So what I want to show you then, I showed you that you can now then go and create those for all of your wards for your different SNMs. Okay, these are CNMs, not SNMs. Uh, these are now, all of those views are now in this list. Okay, so if I scroll down, there they are showing
I'll
up,
go on.
and they have that little icon in front, so they, you know, that they're personal to you. They're not showing up in anybody else's lists. And of course, what does that mean, Laura? That you can now point it towards any of your graphs. But what you do need to do first, before you can do that, this is another just little glitch. You just need to do this once. That directly after you've created a view, you need to log out and log back in again before the dashboards sees them. This, as I said, it's just a little anomaly that's
Work
there.
of it.
Yeah, trainer and so because you've now created that data set, capturing all of the slips, trips, and falls for each ward, for all of your CNMs, the world's your oyster now as far as the graphs are concerned. You can now come up. Let's open this one. So this is capturing, this particular graph is capturing by who was involved.
Hmm.
So here we can see member of the public. Yours are probably all going to be service user. But let's
Vast
just go
majority.
and point it towards, and we'll go down again, toggle view, go to personalize view. And the only difference here is that it doesn't have the little person head in front of it, okay? But they're still listed alphabetically. So there they are. There's All St. Anne's and All St. John's. So we choose All St. Anne's, click on save. The graph will refresh. And actually, we do have a couple of members of the public affected, staff member and then service user. You have a lot of staff member slips, trips, and falls. Would that be normal as well?
No, generally not.
Okay, let's have a look at those. Hmm. Yeah, they're generally not, but and of course you can go in and have a look at them then. So you can, as well as getting that table, you can click into the incidents from that table as well.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, and obviously we can't get much information from here because the summary has been anonymized for that reason. But yeah, you can do that for all of them as well. So if they wanted to maybe find out what time of day they were happening at, you can plug that graph into the, yeah, you can actually point that report now to all of your graphs if you want, all of your dashboard parts if you want.
Okay. That's brilliant. Um, Actually, when you mentioned that we've so many slips, trips, and falls, that does bring me to one of my other questions. Is it possible to over-report?
No.
No.
And I see that is one of your questions there. Yeah, and again, we get asked this a lot by people. It's far better to report
They're not.
If in doubt, report.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we'd say to people. If in doubt, report.
No, because like
So
that's
that's
one of
question three answered.
done. It's actually one of my first things that I'm hoping to get introduced. We'll have to pilot on one word first. Is we're not using the NERFs. We're using a local kind of instant form that's been devised from a NERF, I'd imagine, but like it's not capturing what needs to be put on NIMS at all. So I'm ending up chasing an awful lot. But some of the instant forms would be,
And do you know why that's been done?
I don't. It's significantly before my time, and like they're all being held then in ward areas, like as in they'll be filled out by whatever staff member, they'll be held in the ward area until it's a CNM reviews it, then they'll move on to aid on levels. It stays before maybe even a week or
Okay,
so.
and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wrong, and that's something. How much in your remit or capability is it to change that mindset?
I'm hoping that if I try, like, even if I try pilot the NERF on one ward, and if they email it to their ward manager and their aide on and me, we'll all have visibility of incidents kind of in more real time as opposed to them being held for review, which is what's happening.
So I'm assuming that the CNMs don't have access to NIMS.
They don't. They
Yeah,
don't input on names. All the incident forms come to me. So I think
and it's
since I
yeah,
took over 3 months ago, I've put about 200 incidents up on NIMS, which even from a time perspective
yeah.
is,
It's time crazy. Like it is time crazy. And and there is the danger. This is what we're trying to get across to people. There is the danger that while people are waiting to review it, that the person who's been affected has made a claim.
yeah. Yeah, you said that the last time, and that's what I've
Yeah,
been trying to drive home here and kind
yeah.
of saying, we could put ourselves in a very vulnerable position that, we
You know,
need to have these up as soon.
you
Yeah,
are like it's not you could, you
yeah,
are, and that's what needs to like it's just a practice. As I said, it's just what they've been doing
mm,
for whatever time. But there's no reason why they shouldn't be using the Nerf because the Nerf is designed. The Nerf is the state claims agency form, but we designed it because all locations around the country had their own forms, and when it came to populating NIMS, they were finding exactly what you're saying. They're saying our form doesn't ask those questions, so that's why we put the Nerf together.
yeah. And
Um,
it's like it's perfect. Like, and it's, well, they'll have to type out the NERF, which means I don't have to type it out when I get the paper instant form,
yeah.
which will save
I,
time that way.
the vision would be that ultimately the CNMs will have access to NIMS. That's the way it's going. Because the process, and I'm not sure if I explained this to you the last time, Laura, the process is that the people, your clinicians, everybody, basically everybody within Marymount has a responsibility to report.
Mm.
And the way that they will do the reporting is that they will open NIMS on a PC and they will input what is known as a notice of intake, and it will then be routed to whoever you decide will be the approvers.
Hmm.
I assume it'll be people who are carrying out reviews in that now, so the SNMs. So they will have a log on to the system. They will need to log in to NIMS daily.
Yep.
Now, and there's usually a bit of pushback on that, but it needs to be explained to them. It's no different than them logging into their PC and opening Teams or Outlook or anything like that. It is part of their workflow, and the whole idea is that it makes for speedier reporting.
Mm.
You don't need to wait for a review to be carried out to input onto the system.
Yeah, and I try to explain that it's the basic, it's what happened, what we did immediately, and then we can update afterwards. But I think it's just trying
Absolutely.
to get that mindset
Yeah.
across.
So look, let's because that's one of your other questions. It's about population that incident review. Let's go to the one that I created earlier. Um, so it should pop up here. Yeah, so I just called it test. And this covers a couple of things a couple of the other questions that you were asking about as well.
Hmm.
So if I open it And this one I logged as a violence, harassment, and aggression against a staff member by a service user or a
Okay.
client. Okay. To answer your question, do you need to log one for both? No.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll explain it like this. We as a state claims agency are only interested in the person who potentially will take the claim. So that's the person who was affected. And in those situations, it's the staff member. Now, I know that, I've had discussions down through the years with various people, and they'll go, well, the service user is affected as well. And they're normally in environments from, mental health and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yes, okay, we could talk about it like that, but typically, they're not going to take a claim. If they were
Yes.
the aggressor, it's not they are going to take the claim. It is the staff member who has been hurt or whatever. So in that situation, you only log it for the staff member. Now
Okay,
we
that's great.
we do understand that people want to track challenging behavior. So you have the ability, or we've there's a field there that we advise if you want to track challenging behavior that you populate with the name of the user. Okay. So here's one I created earlier, as they say, that I've logged. I've just, as you can see, it's just very dummy information. The person affected is a staff member, other staff member, blah 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 blah. There's just I go on to my specific location details then. The outcome at the time was no injury. It was exposure to behavioral hazards, violence, harassment, and aggression by a service user. And then in the please specify sub-hazard type field, which is basically the please specify free text fields that will pop up when you make those selections. Okay. This is a free text field where you can input the name of the user, the name of the aggressor. If you want to, okay, you don't have to. And again, where some areas want to capture from challenging behavior, other areas are wary of doing it. So you see, this is why we've had to try and accommodate the system for everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants another name appearing somewhere. Okay. But our colleagues who want to monitor challenging behavior do. And that's what you would do. So simply what you would do there, um, Laura, is when you came back out to your incident manager, sorry, I'm here. I didn't realize I was there. The field that you would choose to run by here, you go back in, you'd set your search defaults, and in your next available, you would type in uh, please specify, and it's please specify sub hazard. Okay.
Okay.
So if I select that, save and close, and let's go and choose all records. So it's doing it for everything that I have access to here, just so that you can see. So it's going to bring back the 6,500.
Okay.
And I'm working from on Wi-Fi, the building Wi-Fi here. That's why it's just taking a little bit long. So I have to refresh before the flipping thing is going to come in, and it's going to go back to dashboards. Okay, so there's please specify. Now remember, it's a free text field, so you have to type the name in exactly as you typed it in the form.
Okay.
Okay, if there's any spelling
Misspelling.
mistake, exactly, name of. So I'm just going to use name, leave it as name of, and then I'm going to click apply. Oh, see, look the way it went back again to. Okay, I'm just going to clear that.
Neve,
Huh?
I'm so sorry. And you will appreciate the irony of this. I have a simp at 3.
You have a okay. Now you know. Now you know what you're able to do with it. Okay,
I
but
swear
all
to
all
God.
you'll do in there is type in the name. Okay,
Okay.
and again you can run a report by that. Listen, go on. I think we've answered most of those questions.
You are amazing. Thank you
No,
so
not at
much.
all. Delighted to be able to help.
Do you
All
know what
right.
now? Like even to know what I'm doing with it is it's huge. I've learned about having to put in simps and SREs and everything in the last few days. So it's